Hi, my name is Abby Price, and for my part of the presentation, I concentrated mainly on African Americans who've made an impact in entertainment as far as theater on stage. And so I first started out talking about James Earl Jones, somebody you guys all probably are aware of. He's mainly known in Hollywood, but something interesting is he started out on Broadway acting. James Earl Jones was born on January 17th, 1931 in Mississippi, and he's of African American, Irish, and Native American background. And he moved to Michigan when he was 5 years old to live with his grandparents. And something that I found kind of interesting was he developed this stutter as a child that was so bad. He went through most of his schooling career as a kid with the teachers thinking he was mute because he just wouldn't talk. And it wasn't until high school where he finally learned to overcome the stutter through theater or performance. He had an English teacher who they were writing poetry, and he had James Earl Jones stand up and speak his poem for the class. And through his coaching and learning to do that, he was able to overcome his stutter and talk on stage. He did some theater in high school and some community theater, but he moved to New York in the 50s, and that's where his career really took off. In 1969, he won a Tony Award for Best Lead Actor for The Great White Hope, and this was a story where he portrayed a boxer, Jack Johnson, who had been really popular, and he was so good that white people called for a great white hope to come and defeat him and take away his titles because they were so upset with seeing an African-American sports, guy excel. And so James Earl Jones won a Tony Award for that, and then later in 1987 he also won a Tony Award for his role in Fences, where he portrayed Troy. And Fences is about an African-American family struggling to overcome this box society has put them in as far as their race. Troy, the character James Earl Jones represented, is passed over for a promotion because he's black, not because he doesn't have the experience, not because he's not a good worker, but just because of his race. And Fences was also a really popular play because it showed the generational gap between father and son, and it was something that was very relatable to people no matter what their race was. And I actually have a clip from James Earl Jones's performance in Fences at the very end of this presentation. Continuing on James Earl Jones, he started acting in Hollywood. You guys might know him from Field of Dreams, Lion King, wait, that's The Sandlot, sorry. The Sandlot or Lion King. And you also might know him from Star Wars, where he was the voice of Darth Vader. And something interesting about this was that he was not in the credits for the first two movies. And it was actually his call to not be listed for his performance, because in an interview I read, he saw himself as special effects more than an actor. And he's like, give the guy who's actually walking around being Darth Vader all the credit. But then in the third movie, that's not what happened at all, and he was in the credits. As I talked about before, I wrote about Fences in my talked about Fences in my paper, and then I also talked about A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry, which was written in the 80s. And this was a really popular play when it first came out. It didn't win any Tony Awards, but it was nominated for Tony Awards. It was nominated for Desk Drama Awards, and it was the first play on Broadway that was written by an African-American woman, and also the first play on Broadway that was directed by an African-American, period. And this tells the story of a family who, they buy a house it's a black family, and they buy a house in a predominantly white neighborhood, and it's just kind of talks about their story with that, because the neighborhood watch comes to them and tries to bribe them to not move into that house. And I'm sure you guys read it in high school. I know I did, but it's a really good story. And something interesting is this is a picture from the 2008 movie version. And if you look right there, that's Sean P. Diddy Combs. He was in the movie. I thought that was interesting. But that is all I have for entertainment as far as theater goes. There's a clip after this showing James Earl Jones's performance in Fences. I hope you guys enjoy.